Snow hissed against the windshield like static on an old radio. Mark Thompson killed the engine of the rattling '98 Civic and sat in the dark, listening to the tick of cooling metal. 43 minutes late. The dashboard clock glowed 7:43 p.m., mocking him. He had promised Emily he would be home by 8 to tuck her in, and he had promised Sarah of the calm voice and the laugh that crackled like fireplace logs, he would be on time for once. 2 promises, 1 man, 0 miracles. He pressed his forehead to the steering wheel. The babysitter's last text still burned in his pocket. Emily's fever is 102. I gave her the medicine. She's asking for you. Mark swallowed the metallic taste of panic. He could still turn around, speed home, hold his daughter until the thermometer forgave him. But Sarah's profile picture, dark hair swept into a careless knot, eyes the color of winter sky, had looked at him across the dating app for 3 lonely months. She had written, I don't care about perfect. I care about present. He had believed her. He wanted, needed, to believe someone still could. He shoved open the door. The wind slapped him with Christmas Eve cold. La Belle Etoile's valet circle glowed ahead, all white twinkle lights and red-vested attendants who looked like they'd never waited for a city bus in their lives. Mark's boots, scuffed, salt-stained, crunched over ice. His only suit jacket strained across the shoulders. He'd bought it for his wife's funeral 4 years ago and had lost 20 pounds of muscle since. The knot in his tie looked like a kindergartner's art project. Inside, the restaurant smelled of rosemary and wealth. A string quartet soared through Oh Holy Night, while chandeliers dripped light onto white tablecloths. Mark's gaze swept the room and snagged on a single woman at the corner table. She wore a sleeveless emerald dress that caught every facet of the chandelier. One elbow rested on the table, chin in hand, watching the door the way sailors once watched horizons. A half-empty glass of red sat in front of an untouched plate. She had waited. Mark's heart punched his ribs. He crossed the room feeling every eye track the poor man in the wrong suit. When he reached her, words stuck behind his teeth. Sarah's smile came slow, like sunrise. You're here. I'm late, he blurted. I'm so late I should be arrested for criminal tardiness. Her laugh floated above the quartet. Sit. The foie gras is getting cold, and I refuse to let it die in vain. He Saturday. The chair felt too tall, the napkin too heavy. My daughter, she spiked a fever. The sitter called right when I was leaving. I almost. You came anyway, Sarah finished. She lifted her glass. To almosts that turn into anyways. They clinked. His water, her wine. Mark studied her across the candle. Sarah Ellison, 35, CEO of Ellison Arc, the green architecture firm that built rooftop forests on Manhattan high-rises. He knew because he'd Googled her the way a starving man studies a menu. He also knew she'd grown up in foster care, that her first patent was for a modular home that assembled in 48 hours, that she donated half her bonus every year to literacy programs. None of that explained why she was still here. I'm sorry about the suit, he said, tugging the lapel. It's seen better decades. It's seen you through worse ones, she replied. That counts. A waiter materialized with fresh plates. Mark stared at the tower of microgreens and edible gold leaf. I usually do chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs. Sarah's eyes softened. Emily's favorite. Triceratops. She says the horns make them fierce. He rubbed the back of his neck. She's 6. Leukemia took her mom when she was 2. I'm still learning the playbook. Sarah set down her fork. I waited tables through undergrad. Burned more dinners than I served. My playbook was don't cry in front of customers. You're doing better than I did. Mark exhaled a laugh that surprised them both. I was supposed to be here at 7 with flowers and a story about how I'm not always a disaster. Instead I've got snow in my hair and a kid who thinks Santa might forget us this year. Sarah leaned forward. Tell me the disaster story. The real one. So he did. He told her about the double shift at the warehouse, the forklift that died mid-aisle, the supervisor who docked his pay anyway. He told her about Emily's fever chart taped to the fridge like a battle map, the way she whispered Daddy, don't leave when the medicine made her shake. He told her about the Christmas lights he hadn't hung because the extension cord shorted out, and how he'd promised Emily a real tree but settled for a 2-foot plastic one from a drugstore. Sarah listened the way people listen to music they've waited their whole lives to hear. When he finished, the restaurant had emptied around them, Even the quartet packed up. The candle guttered between them. "Your turn," Mark said quietly. Sarah traced the rim of her glass. "I close deals worth 9 figures before breakfast. My board thinks I'm made of steel. But every Christmas Eve since I was 9, I sit alone because the group home served turkey at 4 p.m. and locked the doors at 6. Waiting became a habit. Tonight I decided to wait for something that might matter." Mark's throat tightened. "And I'm the something." "You're the something who showed up," she said. "Late, terrified, honest. That's more than the algorithm promised." Snow tapped the windows like it wanted in. The Maitre d' hovered, clearing his throat with theatrical politeness. Sarah stood. "Walk me out." Outside, the valet had vanished. Even the rich needed Christmas eventually. Snow fell in thick, silent flakes. Mark's Civic looked like a toy beside Sarah's sleek Blacktown car idling at the curb. "I should get home," he said. "Emily." "We'll need her dad," Sarah finished. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small silver box tied with red ribbon. "For her. Open it tomorrow." Mark took it, thumb brushing hers. Static sparked. "I didn't bring you anything." "You brought yourself. That's the rare edition." He laughed, the sound rusty. "Can I call you after Santa's done his rounds?" Sarah's smile turned mischievous. "I'll be awake. Someone has to assemble the Triceratops nuggets." Mark's eyes burned. He leaned in, slow, giving her every chance to step back, and pressed a kiss to her cheek. Her skin smelled like pine and possibility. "Merry Christmas, Sarah." "Merry Christmas, Mark." He watched her car glide away, taillights blurring into red halos. Then he drove home through empty streets, the silver box warm in his pocket. Emily's fever broke at 3:17 a.m. Mark knew because he was timing it the way sailors time stars. She slept curled against his chest, breath steady, the plastic tree glowing blue on her nightstand. He eased the silver box from his coat and set it under the tree beside the drugstore Barbie he'd wrapped in the comic section. Morning came with weak winter sun and the smell of burnt toast, his specialty. Emily padded out in footy pajamas, hair a blonde tornado. "Daddy, Santa came." She pounced on the silver box first. Inside lay a tiny glass triceratops, hand-blown, its horns tipped with gold. A note in elegant script read, "For the fiercest girl I haven't met yet. S." Emily squealed. Mark's heart flipped like a pancake. His phone buzzed. "Sarah, how's the patient?" "Mark, demanding dinosaur-shaped pancakes." "You free for breakfast?" "I make a mean, lopsided snowman." 3 dots. Then, "Sarah, I'll bring real maple syrup. And a stepladder for the Christmas lights." They met at the cracked sidewalk in front of Mark's walk-up. Sarah wore jeans and a red coat, hair loose, cheeks pink from cold. She carried a paper bag that smelled like heaven and a string of multicolored lights still in the box. Emily took one look and launched. "You're the lady from Daddy's phone." Sarah caught her mid-air. "And you're the Triceratops expert. Show me your tree." Inside, the apartment was all thrift store couch and crayon art, but Sarah walked through like it was Versailles. She hung lights while Mark flipped pancakes. Emily narrated the entire plot of The Land Before Time. When the last bulb glowed, Sarah stepped back. "Perfect," she declared. Mark met her eyes. "Getting there." January slid into February. Sarah's town car learned the route to the children's hospital. She sat through chemo sessions reading Little Women in funny voices while Mark held Emily's hand. She learned the difference between platelets and white blood cells. Mark learned that CEOs could burn mac and cheese with the best of them. One night in March, Emily asleep between them on the couch, Sarah traced the worry lines around Mark's mouth. "I have a proposition." Dangerous words from a woman who buys buildings for fun. She smiled. "Alyssa Ark is designing a pediatric wing for St. Jude's. I want you to consult on the family spaces. You know what parents need when the world tilts." Mark blinked. "I stack boxes for a living." "You stack hope," she said. "There's a difference." He took the job. The warehouse let him go. Budget cuts, they said. Mark didn't fight it. He walked into Sarah's glass-walled office in a borrowed tie and shook hands with architects who quoted him in renderings. Spring became summer. Emily's hair grew back in soft ringlets. She called Sarah Sarah and demanded piggyback rides through Central Park. Mark's suit started